grade, welcome back to science. So yesterday we wrote down some questions that we had about this phenomenon about parts of the coastline being broken off. Some of the things that you may have come up with, questions related to the phenomenon might be questions that drive our investigation. So for example, perhaps wind or rain or the ocean waves have caused the coastline to break apart. So the cliffs and the fallen rocks pretty much show erosion, and the rocks and the sediment collecting at the base of the cliff also show deposition. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next slide now. So you're going to need for this lesson pages 155 in your interactive student notebook. 156, 157, and 158. So at the top of page 156, it says, in the visual discovery, you will solve the mysteries of different areas where the land has changed. You will examine 3 clues in each area to determine what is changing the land. Is it water, wind, or living things? So for each mystery, examine the clues to figure out what is changing the land, water, wind, or living things. You will analyze each clue and discuss what is causing the changes. And you're going to write your observations for each clue. When all 3 clues are revealed, decide what is causing the changes and explain your answer. So I'm going to show you for page 156, we're doing mystery of area A. So I'm going to switch the slide over. So this is the mystery of area A. Okay, and you may have already seen a little clue there, but something is carrying away soil in area A. Is it water? Is it wind? Or living things? So I'm going to reveal 3 clues to you, okay, and then from there, you on page 156 are going to write down what you think is going on for each clue, all right? So here's clue number 1. Okay, so for clue number 1, I want you to write down an observation. What do you think is going on? And write this observation down on page 156. All right, and I'm going to reveal clue number 2 for you. That was clue number 2. And now I'm going to reveal clue number 3. Okay, so it says something is carrying away soil in area A. Is it water, is it wind, or is it living things? Okay, so for each clue, I already did this part for you, but I clicked on the clue and you kind of thought about it. So think about what's causing those changes, and then you're writing down your observations on page 156. And then I'm going to reveal the whole area, and you're going to decide what is causing the changes and explain in your notebook. All right? So here is the whole area. So on page 156 in the box below, it says what is causing or what is carrying away the soil? Is it water, wind, or living things? Use observations to explain your answers. So I just want you to write down what you think is carrying away the soil, okay? We are going to talk about this more tomorrow, but I wanted to just have you fill this out today, okay? You're going to write down what you think. All right. So finish up page 156, and then we're going to move on to page 157, and I'm going to show you mystery of area B, okay? All right, mystery of area B. So you're going to be filling out in your interactive student notebook on page 157. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to... what is carrying away the soil in area A? Water was carrying away the soil. I apologize. So you should have written down water for that one, okay? Did you solve the mystery? So you can decide whether or not you were right or not. Give yourself a star, smiley face check. And then, as you can see here, the river flows along the land. And as it flows, it takes pieces of soil with it. You can see that the land closer to the river is wetter and has less soil than the land farther away. There's a typo right there. My goodness. All right, moving on. So now we're at area B, okay? So for each clue, so this is page 157. For each clue, I want you to think about what's causing the changes, and then you're going to write down your observations just like you did before, but now you're at the top of page 157. So something is breaking apart rock in this one, okay? Okay, so you're at the top of page 157. I'm going to show you clue number 1. here is clue number 1. So for clue number 1, I want you to write down an observation that you see. So again, you're trying to think about what could be breaking apart rock in area B. Is it water? Is it wind? Or is it living things? So that's clue number 1. Let me show you clue number 2, so listen carefully. Okay, so that's clue number 2. And here is clue number 3. All right, so for clue number 1, you should have written down an observation. For clue number 2, you should have written down an observation. And for clue number 3, so this is clue number 3, so I'm going to go ahead and reveal. And there we have it. So think about, what is it that's causing these changes? Is it water? Is it wind? Or is it living things? Okay, so what is breaking apart the rock in area B? Ooh, living things are breaking apart the rock. Did you solve the mystery? So did you get it correct? If you did, give yourself a star, a smiley face, or a check. If you didn't, go ahead and write the correct answer. All right, and then as you can see here, the tree roots grow into the rock. As they grow, the roots split the rock apart. You can see small plants living in the rock and observe how roots grow into the soil. So for area B, it is living things that is breaking it apart. So we're still on page 157, but we are going to move on to the mystery of area C. Okay, so in this one, something is piling up sand in area C. You have to decide if it's water, wind, or is it living things. So again, we're at the bottom of page 157. This is the bottom half, okay? Something is piling up the sand. Here is clue number 1. Ooh, that's a tricky clue right there. Clue number 2, listen carefully. Okay, so that was clue number 2. So you should have some sort of observation for clue number 1. Now you heard something for clue number 2, so write down what you think that is, and then I will show you clue number 3. Oh boy, here's clue number 3. So what is it that's piling up the sand? Think about it. Is it water? Is it wind? Or is it living things? So use those observations that you wrote down in that top box there to decide what's happening here in this one. And I will show you the whole picture. All right, so now I'm going to show you the answer. So what is piling up the sand in area C? You should have written down that water is piling up the sand. Did you solve the mystery? So you can put a star, check, or smiley face if you chose water, all right? And then finally, if you look at the direction of the waves, you can see that the water all around the pile of sand is flowing toward it. The waves carry the sand from the shores and they drop it into the pile to form that little island there. So that's what's going on in area C. All right, we are going to now move on to area D. All right, it's area D. So now we're on page 158. So we just have 2 more areas to look at for today. Page 158, the mystery of area D. All right, so something is carrying away sand in area D. Is it water? Is it wind? Or is it living things? Okay, so you are going to write down clue number 1, clue number 2, and clue number 3 observations on the top of page 158. Here is clue number 1. So you're thinking, is it water, is it wind, or is it living things? Here's clue number 2, so listen carefully. I think I know what that one is. So write down an observation for clue number 2, and then I will show you clue number 3. So we're on number 4 on page 158. All right, let me go ahead and reveal. Okay, there's the whole picture here. So think about, what is carrying away the sand? Is it water? Is it wind? Or is it living things? So using your observations that you wrote down, I want you to decide if it's water, wind, or living things. And then we will go ahead on to the next page. Okay, so what is carrying away sand in area D? Wind is carrying away sand in area D, okay? So did you solve the mystery? Give yourself a star, a check, or a smiley face if you got it correctly. And then finally, so the ripples in the sand are caused by wind blowing sand away. If you look at the top of the sand dune, you can see pieces of sand being blown away too. So if you look very closely at the top there, you can actually see the wind blowing that sand away. So that's area D. We have one more mystery area to show you, and that is the mystery of area E. So moving on to the very last one. This one is number 5, the bottom half of page 158 in your interactive student notebook. So we're on the same page here, okay? All right, so area E. A river washes away soil, but something is keeping the soil in place in area E. So we have to decide if it's water, wind, or if it's living things. Here's clue number 1. So think about the video of the falling coastline that we saw earlier. Are water, wind, or living things causing the coastlines to change? So think about that. So that is your clue number 1. Okay, so for clue number 1 on page 158, go ahead and write down how this clue helps you and what do you think it means. And then I will show you clue number 2. Listen carefully. Listen very carefully. And clue number 3. Okay, here's your clue number 3. So we're on number 5, page 158 in our interactive student notebook, okay? I'm going to reveal the whole picture here. This one's a little bit trickier, I will say. All right, I'm going to move on and show you the answer now. So you should have written down, what is keeping the soil in place? Do you think it's water? Do you think it's wind? Or do you think it's living things? Use those 3 observations. All right. So what is it that's keeping the soil in place in area E? Ooh, it's living things are keeping the soil in place. So I heard 2 different things when I was listening to that. I heard water and I also heard some living things. So that one was much trickier, but if you picked living things, you are correct. So give yourself a star, a smiley face, or a check. Moving on. Did you solve the mystery? So again, if you got it right. And then soil underneath the plant roots has been carried away, but the roots still have soil around them. So this is because the roots hold on to the soil to keep it in place. So yes, we did hear some living things, but in this case, the living things are actually the roots, parts of the plants. Because if we think about it, those are actually all living things, right? So I want you to go ahead and finish up page 158 for today. And then we'll talk about this tomorrow, okay? Great job today, my friends. Talk to you again tomorrow. You don't have to turn anything in for today. We'll go over the answers and I'll just kind of show you my pages tomorrow. And we will move on. All right, great job today.